Cool. Well, welcome to Book Club officially. Going over to chapter 2.13 in the Habits of Health book, Healthy Sleep and Unlimited Energy, Cornerstones of Optimal Life. Again, I wouldn't have thought any of that before I started this program, but here we are. I actually wish this, like many of the chapters, I wish they could just put them all in the front, but that's not how books work. So, anyways, I'm going to open it up to you guys and tell me some of maybe your takeaways that really spoke to you in this chapter.
I don't even know where to begin, honestly. Can't stop highlighting.
Oh, yeah. My book's littered. What's that, Bridget?
Oh, no, nothing. Can you hear me okay, though?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
Sorry, I accidentally disconnected.
No, you're okay. You're all right.
I thought it was really cool. Just page 59, because I've got the book figured out now. We are thrown into a world that is intrinsically unstable. And it just kind of hit me that internally, kind of where it all begins. Yes, it reflects physically, but internally, like the examples, the weeds taking over the garden, the rooms are messy, being unhealthy, those tasks seem so daunting. But when you become healthy and incorporate the healthier habits and all of that stuff, you kind of naturally generate the time and the energy and the ability to do those things, which then just boosts that intrinsic happiness, that I was able to get this done.
What page was that on?
Was it fifth word? Oh, I'm on the wrong section.
We're on page 400 or 399.
I grabbed my upside down book.
Yeah, it's funny because everything you just said could fit in almost any chapter.
I know. Yeah. Upside down, backwards. Now I got to find my other book. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it was interesting just as they kind of talked about it. A lot of times Dr. A will kind of, he references history and, kind of like, I guess, the origins of humanity or whatever, kind of like saying like all these problems that they didn't have, we have. And he's talking about how, 10,000 years ago, they didn't have artificial light, right? They just had fire. And, when the day was over, they didn't have anything to keep them awake with that sort of stuff. And of course, we started, getting artificial light with Edison, and things started to change. And of course, things got even worse when television and, of course, cell phones, my gosh, just wrecked the world in regards to sleep, changed everything, right? But yeah, I thought that was, it's interesting how, all these wonderful devices and technology happens, but at the same time, there's always a price to pay. Somehow it seems when technology and moves along.
I was surprised that it said 11 million drivers admit that it has caused an accident. 11 million drivers said sleepiness has caused an accident.
I think the key is that they admitted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It happened just to a friend of my not mine. Well, I guess she is, but my daughter's friend that just graduated, driving home at 1:30. She thought she was fine, kind of head bobbing. Next thing you know, she's running into a ditch, flips her boyfriend's car, and luckily, all kinds of things happen, but luckily she's okay.
Well, I told my coach I was worried about sleeping because I found out Thursday that I might get a new boss, and I just worked out the boss that I have now is way better than my old one. I went through a very stressful time. So I'm getting a new boss. So I found out Thursday that they're considering promoting this woman who hates my department, is very unethical, and has slept. So I've hardly slept since Thursday. I got maybe 2 to 3 hours the last 4 nights. So I was told her, I'm afraid it's going to set me back if I get too stressed out and be a giant stress ball with no sleep.
Yeah, that's a tough situation when your wheels start turning. You get an anxiety about what you know is going to be a toxic, maybe work environment. I get that for sure. Hopefully, it's not as bad as it, that you may think it may be.
And it's kind of a snowball effect, right? So you have lack of sleep because of some stressor, and then that leads to poor decision making, which leads to maybe those cookies look better than you thought they did, and then it's just a snowball thing. And I appreciate being both a coach and helping people and being a participant in this program that, yes, we lose weight, but it has so many other implications, including better sleep, which I think I've mentioned before. I have some chronic pain. And so I didn't ever believe that I would be able to sleep better. And, I can already see that that's also part of the energy that I get, and the ramifications that you get is more energy from having better sleep.
What?
And now I'm going to continue driving, so I'm going to go off video.
Want to sit over there?
I've learned to prioritize sleep for a long time now. I have friends who will laugh at me sometimes because I go to bed early, or I say no to certain things because I know that I'm not going to be able to get sleep. Like this everything in this, is why I've made adjustments to my schedule to make sure I do that. I have a time when I kind of slow down. I have time when I shut things off. I have a very structured plan to make sure that I can get it. I know that if I don't get at least 7 to 7.5 hours, I'm pretty much not going to be focused the next day. I'm going to be way too tired. I'm not going to make good choices. And so I'm honestly that person. I go to bed really early. I'm asleep by 9 because I will wake up by 5 no matter what. So, yeah, even at convention, I'm that person that wants to go to bed early. That 10 o'clock thing was really late for me. And so it is just something that I've learned to not make excuses about. But I know that that's hard for some people. Thankfully, I guess I don't have FOMO most of the time about things, and I will prioritize sleep over that. So.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm actually just this week is going to be getting my sleep in order. The wind down time, I think, is important. What else spoke to you guys in this chapter?
I thought it was really interesting, now that I'm in the right section, where it talks about sleep apnea. I think it's the second page in 399, where it in 10 seconds or longer periods of non-breathing during sleep is caused by excess weight, primarily fatty tissue in the neck. And because it interrupts the sleep cycle, sleep apnea can actually spur further weight gain and exacerbates the sleep apnea, creating vicious cycles. It's kind of crazy to think that our excess weight can have that much of an effect on us. And I already know Misty's eyeballing me because we were just going over the sleep chapters today and talking about this. But that's just kind of scary to think about, that how much sleep has an effect on our health. And that was my issue with I was talking about with Misty today, is like, I just sit in bed. I'm not able to make the 8 in the morning power hours because I'm in bed, awake, trying to do all the right things. I don't have my phone. I read my book, TV's off, but I just sit there awake. And so that has been my biggest struggle right now. And I know I'm not the only one that struggles with this too, but
Yeah, no, the vicious cycle. So one of the things that, I don't know, this may help you, Rebecca, is so you end up staying late because you just can't sleep, but forcing yourself to get up early one time and not taking a nap or anything. And then let's see how you feel at 8:00 that night. Because if you don't ever get up early, you're never going to feel tired because you always will sleep in. And I do the same thing. I'll sleep until 8:30 or 9. Well, gosh, 12 hours is only 9:00. Like, that's not very much time that I've been awake, right? So if you force it, you'll start to get tired earlier if you make that, initial step. Is there anybody that, talking about the sleep apnea, snoring, is there anybody that's been on program, was a snorer before, and then lost a bunch of weight or whatever, maybe just got healthier, and then doesn't snore as much anymore? Yep, I see a hand there. Sarah? Okay, good. I love that.
I would like to think I don't, but I don't know for sure if I'm snoring less.
Are you waking up in the middle of the night?
Oh, yeah, I get up 2 or 3 times a night. I sleep probably an hour and a half at max at once.
Gotcha. I've snored so loud where you literally in your dream, you're snoring, you wake up, like you wake yourself up and you can hear yourself wake yourself up. No one? The only one?
mhm.
I used to do that for sure.
So
So-
this
Go
is
ahead.
Geraldine, and I just wanted to say that I'm hoping that's the thing, since I've lost quite a bit of weight, and I am a sleep apnea person and have been for a few years, and I'm hoping to get reevaluated when I get closer to my goal to see if I still need it. Obviously, if I still need it, I would still use it, but I'm wondering, I'm hoping that I won't need it anymore.
Yeah, I would love to hear about that, Darylyn. I know that for me, when I lost a weight, I was getting I maybe lost 50 pounds. My wife commented, she says, dude, you don't snore. I'm like, what? Are you sure? Because I've snored even when I was younger and I was, in shape. But then, yeah. And then even when I started to slip a little bit and put on a little bit back, it's funny, I started snoring again. I do think there's something to that. I think Dr. A's right on. Anyways,
Yes, sleep.
go ahead.
If I can share. Yes, sleep apnea is very insidious because you fight, you go to sleep like the machine. You have to give it the power to force air in, and it's. If you've ever had any breathing problems, I woke up from anesthesia one time and had to be reintubated. So I had some trauma behind it. And then wearing that CPAP was hard. So that was probably the happiest thing I got rid of through this process. So, yeah. Thanks.
I'm going to pop off just real quick. A couple things is, one, as far as the sleep apnea stuff goes, is that unfortunately there can be a ton of damage done, and the longer we take to get our health under control and to lose that weight, the more likely we are to never come off of the CPAP. So keep that in mind. I have a prime example. My uncle is one of those incidences. And so, his airways are much better, and the doctor has said that there is improvement, but he's unfortunately going to be on that CPAP for the rest of his life. So, but there are other people that have very clearly, Sarah, like you're stating, that it can be reversed potentially, and we can hope that way. The one thing I wanted to speak to, and I know I came in a little bit late, but is the twilight hour. that has been a huge, huge deal and is a rock in my schedule. For the most part, I am done at like 9 or 9:30. I'm turning everything off. I don't answer text messages. Very rarely do I look at my message systems or anything. And it's all about spending time with my family, doing the wind down, and reading and just being intentional with calmness, finding a space that is going to allow my brain to shut down and stop thinking. I learned something really interesting today, that there's a couple different forms of headaches and migraines. And one of them is obviously tension migraines, but the other one is a continuous thinking migraine. Your brain does not stop. And you're just keep going and you keep going and you keep going and keep going. So having that twilight time gives you the intentional ability to kind of calm those voices. And if you're not able to, the suggestion was to do a brain dump and write down what your brain is continually going over, and it'll hopefully release some of that during that twilight time. So then you can get restful sleep. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Thank you for sharing that, Misty. Winding down, super important. I don't do a great job at that at all. I mean, that's definitely a work in progress in my life. I did find it interesting that he talks about on page 401. What we can say is that scientists have observed over long periods of time that a chronic lack of sleep can lead to weight gain, impact your learning and memory, compromise your immune system, elevate your blood pressure, increase inflammation, shorten lifespans. I thought this was very interesting. Create symptoms of ADHD. And then, of course, contribute to mental and emotional health when you're sleep deprived. I mean, I remember when I was doing PI work, it was like stay up late to write reports, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, head bob all the way to, the assignment, try to stay awake, infuse myself with sugar, coffee like crazy, like all the worst habits and sedentary to boot. And then again, repeat it over and over again. Limited sleep constantly. You can't stay focused. You're irritable. It affects your marriage, affects your friendships. Don't feel as sharp. Does anybody else go through that or have been through that? Yeah, I see a couple hands. Everybody getting out of that? Okay. I love it. What else, you guys? What else spoke to you guys in this chapter?
Page 403, where it says that sleeplessness is worse for women than men. That really shocked me. And it shocked me where it says about the 5 hours of sleep or less a night is 45% more likely for to have heart problems than even those who sleep 6 hours a night. That 1 hour even makes a huge difference. On page 403 on the right-hand side. I was surprised at that.
I did not remember seeing that. That's interesting. Women exhibited greater psychological stress, depression, hostility, anger. Well, that explains a lot at my house. Just kidding. Just kidding. She's not here.
I'm telling.
She won't watch the recording.
I'm
No, I'm just kidding.
telling.
She sleeps plenty. Trust me. She goes to bed early. She's got good habits. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, even just the rest of it, as well as higher level of substances that increase heart attack or heart disease risk, including insulin C-reactive protein. And I'm curious what the interleukin 6 is, but that's really interesting.
Yeah, I know he says it in here. I don't know I never forget it now that I mean, I read it earlier, but he had said somewhere in here, and you guys may be able to find the page number. It says, no matter how well, all the healthy habits you have, you're eating right, drinking the water. If you don't get sleep, it undermines everything that you do. And I was just like, I didn't, it just never. There's so many things I wish I would have learned earlier in life, right? But I just never would have thought that, right? But it's true. Your body has to restore. And if you, no matter, you can be working out, doing all the right things, but if you're not doing that, then just to undermine it, right? Like it's like you're just defeating the purpose of all the other good things. What, anybody else?
I don't know if somebody brought this up before I came in, but I know a lot of us were late today. So, on that top of page 403, I think that's been my biggest takeaway of this chapter is just being more mindful of those things that I need to stop doing at certain points throughout the day. So like the coffee is a big one for me, but switching to like caffeine-free tea later in the day or something like that. And I've noticed on the days that I've tested some of those things where I do not feel as rested the next day. So I have actually like tested it out for myself, whether it was alcohol or coffee or just caffeine in general. I can get 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep, but I still like don't want to crawl out of bed in the morning. So I think it is just a sensitivity that keeps me from those deeper sleeps, as opposed to like, oh, I don't have a problem falling asleep per se. So I think those are really interesting to kind of incorporate.
No, and of course, they all make sense. I mean, caffeine stays in your body for quite a while. It affects everybody a little bit differently, right? Exercise. I know in the past, if I work out later in the night, I'm like, my body's like, all right, let's go. Heavy meals, serious conversation. That's like the worst time to probably get in a fight with your spouse at night, right? And you're not supposed to go to bed angry, right? It's biblical, I think. Right. So you're supposed to figure that out before you go to bed. But yeah, or you've been in an argument with whoever, maybe it's a friend or, a mom or whoever, right? Like someone was saying earlier, your brain starts, working. Teresa was talking about it, right? So she's got things in her mind. It's keeping her awake. That destroys me at night. If my brain's turning, especially if I'm, in tension with the wife, that makes it tough. Digital sunset though, like that's a time to read maybe, or gratitude journal. I think we've talked about that in the past. If you guys don't have one, I definitely have some recommendations for some good ones. Just to be, and that's where you can write. Who was talking about writing stuff down? I can't remember who said that, but if you have Misty was saying, if you have things on your mind, write them down. Maybe that's where you write them down. Having concerns about this right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. Just get them on paper. You'd be surprised. Some people say, oh, it doesn't work. I'll be like, have you tried it? Some people will poo-poo on something without even giving it a shot. So give it a shot if it's, if it's something you're going through. All right. I've got about 4 minutes left. Misty, do you by chance have the Wheel of Fortune ready? Is there anybody else that wanted to say anything before we spin for money? No?
Actually going to, oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I was actually going to say the lose the snooze. For years, I have been, it's not a snoozing, but I set up 2 alarms. So one is 45 minutes earlier than the other one. And I didn't realize that was actually, that was a bad habit. So that's something I got to work towards now.
Wasn't there someone in here that commented like, I feel like it's Nikki, like because she's like the sleep master over here. Do you get up right away, Nikki? Was it you? I feel like someone's talked about that.
I do, but I would say that I read Mel Robbins' book, The 5-Second Rule, this year too, and she talked about doing the countdown, right? So like if you don't feel like it, just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like your body naturally, once it gets to 1, it needs to move right? So that can sometimes be helpful, but yeah, I'm usually pretty good with just getting right up. Even on the days I'm tired, I do it for that same reason earlier, right? That if you still get up at your structured time, then your body is likely to catch up later. Like the other day, like I didn't get very good sleep on Friday and Saturday. Yesterday, I fell asleep at 8:15. I was dying before 8:15. I was like ready to fall asleep. And I woke up just before my alarm went off at 5. So, I obviously needed it. And it just helped reset that rhythm.
I love that.
But I know most people, I know that's hard. I know it's a hard one.
Yeah, real quick, if you're not getting enough sleep on page 402, I do think there's something very specific to this. It is very difficult to get up in the morning if you don't have a reason to get up in the morning. You don't have any purpose. There are mornings where I don't have purpose, like literally, I have no reason to get up. Kids aren't going to school. They're in summer, right? And I'll keep sleeping because I don't have anything that I really have to do that's that important. So you may want to sleep all the time because there's nothing driving your life. I think there's something to that. I think we got to find purpose if we don't have it. I've had a lot of conversations about purpose with different people, family members, friends. It's an important part of our lives. All right, Misty,